a good hope message out there is trying to discover yourself as much as possible as a person and as a musician, and try to compare yourself with yourself. Stop comparing yourself with others, and just trying to always be better than yourself from yesterday, from a week ago, from a year ago. I guess that's why we all got into this, making drum covers and YouTube and stuff like that, trying to outdo ourselves. So I guess trying to don't compare yourself to others, stick to your own game. Everybody has his own calling from some sort of divinity, whatever everybody believes in. So our Christian guys believe that we all have our calling from God. And, I guess not comparing to others would allow you to get the best version out of yourself. Work hard, don't pity yourself, and nothing is gonna fall from the sky. So try to work as hard as possible to, you know, become the best version of yourself as possible. Stick to the game. You be ambitious. Knock to as many doors as possible until somebody opens and say, "Yeah, I need the drummer for the session," or "I need the drummer for the gig," or "Oh yeah, our drummer got sick and we need somebody for our tour." You never know what life brings. You never know what tomorrow brings. That you can end up going on a tour with an artist, or become a session drummer, or whatever the case may be. So, do your own thing. Stick to hard work. Stick to study, and be as diligent as possible.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters Net podcast. I'm your host, Brian. Joining me today, Andrei, and I'm going to try to pronounce it, Biniadakis.
There you go, you got it right.
All right, sounds good. How you doing today, brother?
No, not too bad, not too bad. Just came from work today, and now just sort of playing a bit of drums before I got on with you. So
Yeah.
got a few songs out of the way to stay calm for the rest of the interview.
All right, sounds good. Like I said, where are you at right now? Because I can tell that's not your home.
Yeah, I'm down at my local church. That's where sort of I have all my sort of drum kit and the whole gear. So I said it just makes more sense to come here in the drum booth and do everything from here. But yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. I guess, where are you hailing from? Because I think when I was looking you up, I think you were, how do you pronounce it, the Guernsey Islands or something between Great Britain and France?
So I'm from Dublin, Ireland.
Completely wrong. Okay, we're close enough. All right.
Close enough, yeah.
Sorry
about that. No worries.
It must have been in your profile for some reason. I don't know why that brought it up, but okay. But regardless, good to see you. We got an Irishman on here.
There you go.
That was pretty good. All right, so Andrei, the way the podcast works here is I invited musicians on. We just get to know more both as musicians, but also as individuals too. So just got the questions right here. You ready?
Yeah, shoot away.
All right, let's start with the first one. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you become a drummer?
So now I'm not playing drums for too long. I'm only playing drums for 7 years, close to 7 years now this summer. Sort of just starting our local church. Our regular Sunday service, I was just sitting beside the worship team, and actually really good friends with the drummer. He was the main drummer at the time. And, it looked so cool, and, it felt great. And, it's like, oh my God, I want to try that. So I think after one of the Sunday service, I said, "Oh, do you mind if I hop in and try to play some?" No, go ahead. And then I went in and tried to play a bit. Couldn't do it. And then he explained me what to do, like just a very basic 4x4 beat. And when I did it for the first time, I just felt so great landing the shots on the snare and such. So I said, that's amazing. So then sort of after that, I sort of kept playing and coming in between services, or during the week and such, and study drums, because in Ireland, unfortunately, the houses are made out of cardboard, so your neighbors can hear everything. So you wouldn't be able to have a drum kit at home. So I used to come to church all the time. Now that was back when I was in high school. So I used to come to church a couple of times a week and just practicing and sort of more or less self-taught. But yeah, that's how I got into drumming. So close to 7 years now.
That's pretty good. Congratulations. And I think I have to agree with you in terms of like how the housing structures are in the States too, because you can't really do an acoustic set here. Otherwise, the parents hear you pretty well, and I think the neighbors will hear you next door too. So, so I think that might explain the insulation too. It might be made out of cardboard, so it doesn't really absorb very well. So, I guess
I don't know.
Before we jump into how you jumped into being a church drummer, I guess walk us through your kit there real quick.
Oh, the kit right here. I don't know if I should turn the camera or not, because I have thing plugged in here. But basically, our house kit is vintage Ludwig from the early 70s, I think it is. So we went for the vintage kit. Our sound engineer loved the big sound of the big guys from like Bethel from America and stuff like that. So I said, right, we'll go for some vintage big drums. So it's a 13x9 rack tom, 16x16 floor tom, and 22x14 kick drum. And then the snare is one of my beauties. We recently purchased this baby. It's a black brass from Franklin. They're a new company now on the market. I'm not sure if you heard of them or not, but they're really big now in America. And they build a lot of kits and stuff like that for, Christian artists and such. So we're fortunate enough we bought a Christmas last year. So we've been enjoying it ever since. It's a 14x6.5 walled black brass. And then, dampening wise, we're just using snare weights. Heads, we're using all Remo vintage coated on the toms, P4 and Ambassador Clear on the snare, and then we're using Evans E-Mat 2 on the kick. It's just sort of give us that, fat sound that we're looking for, the big drums. And then cymbal wise, we're using all Instable egg up. So we have a 22 crash traditional dark crash, and we have a 24-inch Joy Waronker. This thing sounds amazing. And then right here we have another 24-inch Istanbul Mehmet Legend. The kit sounds amazing. I don't know how much you can hear, but it sounds amazing.
Yeah, a good bit. Just kind of wish it was the same way with doing the voice too, because unfortunately when he moves away, it then gets all distance.
Sorry about that.
It's like you're standing on the other side of the cannon right there. Just be like, hey, can you hear me? That sort of thing. So I can see. Unfortunately, he's using a dynamic mic, so that's why his voice fades away. So just letting the audience know there. So it's all good.
Yeah. Trying to stay as close as possible.
You're good. Actually, I had to laugh because it actually picked up all the cymbals and everything else pretty well. So I did hear that. It did sound amazing too. So that's pretty sweet. But I guess since you're holding the sticks, so which sticks were you using there?
So we're using ProMark 7.4 7B forward. I don't know if you can see that. They'll be heavier. There will be like a extreme 5B sort of within that range, and they tend to be a bit longer than the usual 5Bs. They're amazing sort of for chops and swings, and how church goes. Sometimes you end up playing from Christian rock to jazz to anything on a Sunday service, So you have to be able to have a stick to give you the flexibility to play any genre. And then in-ears, I'm using 64 audio NA models with I think 9 driver it is. I just got this recently. Really amazing. Like everything sounds so crisp because like on a regular basis on our Sunday service, like you have bass and synths and piano and electric and strings and then a big choir and all that. And then includes the vocals as well. So you have to be able to hear everybody. So definitely 64 did a job for me.
That's pretty sweet. It was pretty interesting with the sticks too, and I actually hear more people using like the Vic First and then Vader's like, or Vater. I think that's the way they're supposed to pronounce it, but they always pronounce it kind of like Vader in a way. So
yeah.
Those ones seem like the big one, and then it seems like ProMark's like in a category of other, which we'll just select there. But that's pretty sweet. And I know church music's not meant to be pretty loud. In fact, I guess how loud does it normally get during church service?
Well, I'm actually we built a drum booth, which is, acoustically proved around. So I actually go pretty heavy, especially that we have big cymbals and big drums and stuff like that. So the house kit actually sounds really big. But, thankfully with the drum enclosure, we'll be able to get good sound and not get too much, sound bleed from the drums into the vocal mics and everything else. And also the congregation won't suffer from it. I think before we built it, I think they were setting up the front of the house at the time. And said, let's try the kit and see how big it is. Because I think we just built the platform on the floor for the cage, but we haven't built the walls and the roof of it. So I set up the kit and I said, let's see how loud it is. And I think it was going up to like 96, close to 100 decibels. So it was like, oh yeah, it's a bit loud.
Like, boom, not like a gong that just went off. So
yeah, especially like the snares and stuff like that sounds really big and stuff.
Yeah, actually, I had to laugh when you say big drums too, because I was thinking like that Weird Al kind of song too. Instead, like I like big drums and I cannot lie, that sort of thing. So, I don't know, but we like big drums because we want to make drum go boom, as I like to say. So
exactly.
Absolutely. I guess what made you want to be a church drummer, or I guess did you start off being like a session musician or something like that?
No, actually, I started in church. I think few months, close to a year maybe after I started playing. I started playing in my local church orchestra. So we had an orchestra band, and then I think a couple of months after I joined the brass band of our church as well. So I've kind of always sort of grew up playing in church, youth camps and conferences and stuff like that. So I've always really just sticked with, church drums mainly. I had here and there small stuff and, recording sessions for different, local artists and stuff like that, but nothing too major. Sort of always kept around playing in church and record with different church bands and stuff like that.
I was just going to say, did you ever play in any pubs?
Not really, no.
No, he's not that kind of Irishman. He's not the drinking kind, or as I like to say.
Not really, no.
No, but sorry for my bad Irish, even though I am mostly Irish too, so I would say that.
No way.
Do I not look Irish? I think I...
Well, you look pale enough, yeah.
Well, that might be more the German side probably talking right there. Maybe even the Greek side too. So
nah, possibly.
Probably, yeah. So, all right. So I guess jumping to the next one here. What do you love most about drumming?
The fact that after a long week, you could come down and just play a couple of songs and just get all that bad vibes out and just all that bad energy, get it out on the kit and just sort of enjoying it. And I don't know, like it disciplines you in a way as well. Like I think especially us drummers think a bit different than other musicians, and we tend to go more deeper into, bits and bobs of the theory and how to better, split our body and limbs into 4 different ways and such. So yeah, I guess, disciplines and, the enjoyment of letting the energy out.
I would also say it's also a nice workout too, but I don't know how fast you're technically going at times. So
it could be like some of the, Sunday songs at 145 BPMs and stuff like that.
I mean, there is such a thing as Christian thrash metal, so I thought maybe that'd be something you would do too.
No, you won't get as far as metal, but we have some, fast country songs that you can go pretty fast. And your hands will be dead by the end of the song.
I see. be like, "Oh, my arms are so pumping right now. Do you lift, bro?" That sort of thing.
Yeah,
So
like the whole full arm would just be like super tense.
it's like, "Oh, I can hold stick. Oh, fell out of my hand.
Exactly.
I need a timeout, man. I need a timeout." So I see.
100%.
Absolutely. I guess. Have you always stuck with acoustic sets? Have you ever tried out with an electric set before?
I had a wedding once, and I think a youth treatment of some sort. No, I had a Christmas concert that we were asked to play an electric kit, being that the venue was like one of those old school Gothic churches where like you clap on stage and the fella at the very back at the end of the balcony can hear you clapping, like that sort of echoey room. So then we said, okay, right, we'll play in an electric kit, but not my favorite, so to speak. Now we had a good rolling kit, so we didn't have some trashy cheap kit, but still nothing compares to feeling that vibration of the cymbals when you hit them, and your toms when the membrane just flows back at you with your sticks and stuff like that. It's a whole different vibe. Like,
I was gonna say, what was the name of the church that you were in when you were actually playing that electric set?
Sorry?
I guess which Gothic church were you in when you were talking about the whole thing of clapping? You were able to hear it on the balcony, or were you ever playing that electric set?
The church is actually in the center of downtown Dublin, and I think it's called Christ Church. Yeah, it's a Presbyterian church. I think they're owning that building, and really super high ceilings and everything. Choir wise, is amazing. Like that room, like beats every other concert hall. Amazing. The minute you start putting the instruments and the band in, God.
Not so much. It's more better with the angelic voices you hear coming from the throats
choir.
of many. There we go. From
Exactly.
the angelic choir there. But yeah, I know what you mean too, because I think it was in one of the classes I took back in college when they showed a little clip of a certain choir playing in one of those kind of Gothic churches. I forget which one it was, but I was actually in one in Passau where they did the organ too.
Yeah.
I forget what the name of the church was too, but I think the organ was pretty special because it was pretty historic. But yeah, you're right. It just rings out too. So I can imagine how bad it probably could have been with an actual drum set too. If you're saying like 96 decibel level, would be like, it just like rings out for a good long time too.
Yeah, like when we get ready for the concert, where I brought, I borrowed somebody's kit. I think it was like a Pearl Master set or something. I brought it in, set the whole thing up, and the minute I hit the snare, it was like the whole room. So I said, right, try to put some cloths on or something. Man, and nothing could have solved the issues in that. Like, other if you'd had an enclosure like this one, but we didn't have the facilities for that at the time. So we said, all right, we'll leave it for the rehearsals today, but for the actual concert day, we have to find an electric kit. Like, surprisingly, you find them really hard in here. Not everybody likes electric kits here in Dublin. I had to ring a couple of buddies of mine until I found one that had a practice kit at home that he was using. So I was like, mate, let me borrow it for a gig. I'll give it back to you next week.
I see. I'll get back to you eventually. All right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we give it to him the next day. Like,
did you? Okay.
It's horrendous. Like,
all right.
trying to work everything through Ableton and try to get the right sounds of it. I
was going to say he was a man of his word. He actually didn't keep it as long as he probably should have.
Exactly.
Well, I do have to ask, do you know the drummer? He's also Irish too, but James Kelly?
Sounds familiar, yeah.
Darn it, I wish I could remember. He's probably going to can't wait for it too once he sees this video. But he's also in the band too. He was touring a little bit. Actually, I remember interviewing him, and he was in his tour bus, or bus, we should say, because I know he would just sit down, we just have a nice conversation too. So I just wanted to make sure, like, how popular is he? That's what I was going to ask him. Well, that's why I wanted to ask you too. But yeah, he was a really nice guy, and I say no come out too. Shout out to James. Yeah. Nice meeting you, mate.
Shout out, mate.
So let's see. I guess let's jump into your YouTube channel, then we can get into a little bit of gear you use. I guess why don't you start your YouTube channel?
Well, I sort of looked into creating my YouTube channel as some sort of a musical diary, you know. So they're just gonna keep doing videos of playing grooves or drum covers and stuff like that, and sort of look back after years and say, Jesus, how bad I was. So sort of that's how the idea was when I started my YouTube channel. I just wanted to sort of have a musical diary for myself. And then bit by bit, people started to subscribe to it and such. But yeah, that's why mainly I started, you know.
I guess, was there anything you hope to achieve with it? I was pausing there because I thought you were going to keep going there, but is there anything you hope to achieve with your YouTube channel?
Well, hoping to, you know, especially that we're doing a lot of the stuff, like our church start to compose a lot of the songs. So sometimes I'll be doing, like right now I'm getting ready for some covers of some songs that our worship team wrote and composed. So in a way, I hope that the videos for some people will be sort of like some sort of tutorials. As I was planning to do more sort of teachings, materials and stuff like that for students, because I have a few students that I do, you know, teach drums and give lessons to. So yeah, instead of having Instagram and stuff like that, YouTube sort of accessible for everybody, for tutorials, for, you know, like even I know I've listened to a couple of drummers that I like their songs better than to listen to the original song. And sometimes I'll just listen to the cover, and, you know, sometimes be with mates in the car. Oh, the song, we put it on, and he puts the actual artist songs. I'm like, man, they sound so empty. Let me show you a better version of it. So kind of, I guess, for that as well, for some people just sort of listening to music, so I listen to that version from Andrei. It sounds better than I could listen to original. Or who knows, you know? But that's sort of why.
That's pretty sweet. And I do know other people in our drum community who tend to actually use YouTube more as like a diary of sorts, so I can also chronicle when I started off in terms of like the first video, maybe the first drum cover I did. And sometimes you might actually cringe about it because I know that's how it was with me too.
Definitely.
It's like, damn, that's how I sounded back then. Man, it's so bad. It's so bad. But did you always stick with drum covers? Or I know you mentioned about doing like teaching videos at some point, but at the present moment, are you just mainly doing drum covers?
So far, mainly doing drum covers, and currently only start writing the teaching materials now. So I probably won't record them for a little while, but for the moment, yeah, just drum covers.
Ah, I see. And would you tend to like do any, maybe something like vlogs in addition to your teaching videos, or I guess you just want to try to do like one video a week and then just see how it goes?
No, I wanted to do more than one video a week and sort of do more covers and stuff. It's very hard to find time. I don't know how things work for you guys in America, but here in Dublin, sort of is a constant routine for everybody. It's just work home, church on Sunday for us, or Friday night service, stuff like that. And it's very hard to find time to actually record materials for Instagram or YouTube channel and like that, you know. But who knows where things are gonna go from there. I need to be more busy, I guess, to actually start doing blogs, because like I wouldn't have an idea what to do a blog about, you know.
It's vlogs, but technically close enough.
Yeah.
I figured that's what you were trying to say too, but it sounded like you were saying more the B with the blog. But regardless, close enough.
Blog, yeah.
Okay, but in the States too, it's pretty hard too, considering what's going on. You got inflation too. I don't know how bad it is in Ireland, but you got that. You also got to pay the bills, got to pay the man, as we like to say. So life goes on. So you just try to make your dues. I know I got to work 2 jobs, but in addition to this, so I'm posting like 3 videos a week. So it's not easy.
You're a hero, bro. You're a hero.
I try.
Yeah, like it's even that, like you have to, like, I'm releasing a cover tomorrow, and I think I've prayed for that couple of hours, came to church, get the cameras and the camera guys and the whole lot, trying to set up everything, record it, and then it took me a couple of evenings to put the whole video together because we had multiple angles and such that, and get all the audio files from Logic, import them into Final Cut, and then sync everything with the MP3 from the actual song. And it takes time to edit all of these videos, so I guess it's more than just shooting the videos, but it's more all the behind the scenes work. Because doing stuff like that at the beginning, you end up doing everything yourself, from editing to recording to coloring to everything. So
you gotta put in the presets too, because I know when they start podcast episodes, you gotta put in like presets. So it's like a EQ, compressor, and limiter. So it helps boost the volume so everybody's able to hear it pretty well. Otherwise, you just put in this audio, it's a little bit low, unfortunately. You're still able to hear it, but it's not as like clean and crisp as it should be. So
no, it sounds really good to me though.
At the present moment, you know what I mean once this is exported, so you know what I mean.
Yeah, I guess, see what happens afterwards.
Yeah. But you did mention about Logic and Final Cut Pro, so I guess let's walk through the process of how you do a drum cover, and I guess you can walk in about any, or walk in, you can walk us through any gear that you use. So fire away.
So I've run everything. I have a MacBook Pro, and I've run everything. So I do all the audio recordings and video editing in Final Cut Pro and Logic. Sometimes I use Ableton Live as well, depends, because we do be using Ableton Live here at the church to run tracks and stuff like that for the Sunday services. So sometimes I'm recording stuff from the services, like a drum cam from the services. So in times like that, I use Ableton. And then I have a PreSonus audio interface, Studio 266, that's the model I'm using. And then pretty much when I'm recording, we have our Allen Heath's Me Once in-ear monitors. That's what we're using at the church. So it's a pretty good mix coming from the front of the house from our engineer, and then everything gets imported into here. So then from my Me One, I'm just exporting everything into stereo, right and left, into my PreSonus, and then from PreSonus into the laptop and whatever I'm using that day, either Ableton or Logic, to record the live. Or even when I'm doing the covers, I use the same sort of setup, because it's pretty easy. Like literally, I have 3 cables in your monitor and a laptop. That's my whole setup for recording everything. Bring that everything is pre-mixed and stuff like that. It just makes it easy to just export right, left into Logic, boom, boom, job done.
You gotta laugh with the dialects too, because I know the way we in the States pronounce it, it's called Ableton. What I guess you're calling it Ableton, or?
Well, maybe my pronunciation of it is not the best either. So
I don't know, but I mean, it tends to happen too, and to each his own. So I know what you're referencing to, but it's a little bit of an interesting mix. But I guess how is Ableton?
Ooh, well, to be honest with you, we recently started using Ableton, and I'm still quite learning how to do all the presets and stuff like that for when we run the tracks live. So far, from my end, because we have our keyboard player, he has the main track rig, and back in my hand, I have just the backup clicks for the songs. But it's pretty straightforward. Like, it's not very complicated once sort of you tweaks a bit around how to do your presets, and once that's set it up, you're good to go, really. Like, but it takes a bit of fine tuning until you get it right, But, yeah. Have you worked with Ableton before?
You know what? When I was searching for a digital audio workstation, DAW, I was kind of weighing between Logic, Ableton, and I think I got a Pro Tools. The Pro Tools and Ableton, those were the free versions. So Ableton Lite, and I guess whatever the name was for the Pro Tools. That was just meant to be like a step up before it'd be like, okay, those are what I want. So after a while, I just decided Logic's was cheaper. I think it was only like $200 since it's already part of the Mac too, and I had the Mac computer, so it's like 1 + 1 = 2. So there we go. We'll just
exactly.
let's just go ahead and get that.
Like I was lucky enough. Like when I was still in uni when I got this MacBook. So when I got it, I think I had a student offer to buy. There was a package for Final Cut Pro and Logic, and I think I saved about 250 euros, something like that, when I bought it. So I said, right, that's it, stick to it, and then sort of just taught myself how to use it along the way. And then only sort of recently we got into Ableton, but music ain't cheap, unfortunately.
That's for sure. I guess I was going to say, like, do you have really a preference between either Ableton or Logic, or you just say like whatever gets the job done?
I guess when I do record stuff, Logic to me is a bit easier to just sort of preset everything, MIDI instrument, select the channel, press rec, start it, and then sort of create a project for whatever. Like when I set stuff up for doing drum covers, I take the MP3 file, import it into Logic, and then create a project in that way. And then you set up the tempo of the song, create a project, and then you create another instrumental channel to record how many channels you need to record your kit or whatever the case may be. And just sort of you're able then to record with the click and the tracks at the same time. And when you end the recording and export the audio, you can export it without a click, and you have the clean sort of clean audio. Where with Ableton, I think it takes a bit more fine tuning to record in Ableton. At least that's how I found it so far, because I'm still new to it. But maybe in a year's time I'll have a different opinion.
I suppose so. Actually, I was going to say, people in the comments are going to see it, and they're going to say like, oh, he hates Ableton, that sort of thing. So,
Not at all.
thumbs down. There we go. Thumbs down on Andrei's channel. Okay. You're good. You know what? I should have actually asked this question a little bit sooner, but I guess so. Who do you consider to be your biggest influence? And I mean, if you want, list off any other people you consider to be like an influence in your drumming.
Well, there'll be a few guys that I sort of looked up since I started playing drums. Apart from our main drummer at the church, that I was sort of listening to it, week in and week out. Like I used to have my voice recording file on my phone. I used to just put it on the chair and just record what he was playing live, and then come at the church and try to replicate what he was playing. And so he was one. His name is Alan Pop. And then another big influence for me was Brendan Tan from Hillsong Younger Free. Dude, he kills it. Like chops, grooves, shuffles, whatever you need, he has it. And then Dan McMurray from Hillsong Worship. He was a big influence as well. And David Whitworth from Bethel Worship. Those were sort of the three drummers that I sort of looked up on. And I still am. Like I'm still checking them out all the time and try to take fills and grooves and stuff like that and implement them in our setup. Being that we play sort of the same genre, and you know how church goes. Sometimes you play some of the original, sometimes you do cover of other people's songs, and so it happens to be that most of the time the songs are one of their songs. So we just sort of I've always studied them, if you can, if I can say that. But those are the three drummers. Check them out.
Are these drummers in gospel or also in CCM, which is contemporary Christian music?
Brandon, I think, is in both, and no, I think they're the three of them are in both sort of scenes, doing everything really. Like, yeah.